we're constantly um, canceling each other, just getting rid of each other as soon as the first thing comes up, And this will be a series of conversations. This is the first one where we just break it down the effects of it. The second one will be about we'll ask the question, are we canceling white supremacy? Because we very easily cancel each other, but how do we treat the system of white supremacy when it comes to us? Like, do we cancel white supremacy? Um, and then the last one will basically be breaking down, asking who should we cancel and why? Because it's not to say that we shouldn't cancel, but it's like, what is the criteria? Like, who, like, what if we are to cancel, who should we cancel, and how should their cancellation benefit the fight for reparations? Really like the black hole. So, no further ado, I'll introduce we've got LaFair, we have Tiffany. We'll start the conversation. All right, now do you, LaFair?
Thank you, Keith. All right. Queen City ADOS. We're here. I want to give a shout out to just as far as I know, this is a holiday. So happy holidays. And also, this is also the commemorative day of the assassination of MLK, one of our pioneers that's been in our fight, who has been in our struggle for our struggles, all of our struggles, as far as being not just a civilian, but to let it be known of our civility. So hats off, of course, to MLK on this day. I want to give a few shout outs. I want to give a shout out to there's a Nevada Freedmen Association that's in Nevada. They're doing some good things. They did a nice gathering for giving out food to several people in their community. So that's a very good shout out, a good big up. So glad to hear about that. And also for we have Stephanie showed the foundation. I know we've given to the Tamir Rice's foundation. Just show that slide for the people. Samaria Rice's foundation that she's trying to get put on, be on spot as far as to be right. There you go. That's us, y'all. Just know that that's our family. I think everybody can at least go back to when they were 12 years old. Even for some of us who have children, who are parents, can go back to um, having a 12-year-old in our family, and just the thought of them going to the park. All right. So um, those are real pictures of Tamir. He would have been about maybe I think close to 20 years old. 20 years old this year. I think maybe 20 years old this year. So yeah, if you get a chance to want to just look into that website, please do. It's open. There's much work that need to be done with that. So we want to say this: continue the struggle, plight to flight, grind to shine. Okay. All right. Today we're going to be talking about council culture. But very first off, I want to get into some terms to unpack how we need to unpack with council culture and just terminologies. All right. So let me see. October 5th. Voter registration. Okay. Tiffany, show that first slide of the demeanor of council culture, because we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna just briefly sleep. Okay. What's another word for pupil? Another word for pupil is student. If you see that a good student does the same thing as what nature is, it's giving information, knowledge, homework, rationale, developing themselves, discussion. A good student, so that when you go into the light, now you know how at the mercy of how much you can give out to people or give out to children because you're in school, as far as how much you want to get the people to absorb into that information. That's all part of being a human. But for some reason, when we see that there's been data on us, data about the racial wealth gap, data about talking about reparations, is always that everybody wants to rest on Black coming into this country. You want to rest on Black the same way you rest your eyelids to see Black, because that's the only way you're going to feel like you're going to have some peace and serenity. But you want to rest on top of Black people all the time. And we see that in all our data points, statistics, graphs, all that. It's always showing that we don't have anything. But you have shoot 'em ups of gigantic, enormous graphs showing what whites have, which is over $100 trillion, 100 trillion in wealth. Does that make any sense? Does that show you how slavery has been in this country under different names? You can go on from so many of the names of names other than slavery that's pretty much still slavery, with redlining and peonage and mass incarceration. All these graphs are always showing us as being in gigantic. How is that we're 13% of the population, but make up millions of males in prison industrial system. And with that, you make up just about as many more than all the women around the world. That's slavery. Council culture, you want to deal with it? That's council culture again. It's always dealing with us as a people, and it's like, why is all this going on? You look at the term, look at this term right here. I'm gonna give you some the definitions from Google. All right, because see what we just said, that was common sense. You're not gonna find that in Google to just put all that together about resting your eyelids. You're gonna see Black. Your pupil gonna get bigger in Black because you're absorbing so much information, and then when you get into the light, it gets smaller. It contracts back. But when you look at the word minority, the word minority means the smaller number or part, especially a number that is less than half the whole number. An example, a minority party. Another term is said the state or period of being under the age of full legal responsibility. Like that child, 6-year-old child in Winston-Salem. But then when you look at how, when I was a part of the minority achievement, back when I was in school, junior high school, I was in elementary school, minority achievement deals with what? Children, right? Children. Why is that? There is a whole minority party that symbolizes, as they say, they have this symbolic of citizens of the United States who are African American, Hispanic, Native American, Asian Pacific, or Asian Indian, or Asian American. But then when you get to the root word of minority, what do you see? You see the word minor. What does a minor mean? See, Native Blacks in this country, we have been in the belly of all this stuff ever since. So we should be the first ones to know how to catch on to what is and what's not first and foremost, because people keep wanting to come to this country for what? They want access to wealth. They want access to what they have making in their country. They want some sort of freedom, but that's taken away from the people that have been here, that made it fit for you to be here. We have been a living sacrifice ever since. A living sacrifice. So look, I don't need to hear nothing about Jesus. I don't even hear nothing about that. I'm not even trying to get on that. We're going to talk about that some other shows coming up. But I don't need to hear nothing about that because we have been a living sacrifice on record ever since from everything, all the above that we've been doing. Just because we're human beings, we made people human coming into this country. You got the preamble, stuff like that. A little concise form of the Constitution talks about common defense, promoting the general welfare. All these things that sound so good. That sounds like a cult because it's just not conforming to what it has in black and white. Does it make any sense? Yet, nah, you don't see it. You don't see that when you have the English language, which is the first thing that we had to figure out first and foremost as far as speaking, because we couldn't even speak the language that we came here with. We had to get all of the things cut off. Everybody has their will to be wielded in what they want to do in this country, but we didn't get the access. But at the same time, we're not getting the access. Those that didn't have, as I saw a while back when President Bush was in office, the second President Bush, he had this $30,000 plate dinner special, whatever. Says he was making a little chuckle about saying, there are the haves and the have-nots. And guess who we are? And just started chuckling. You mean to tell me that we were the currency of this country? We did not have wealth as far as having so that we would have that in our name, but we created all this for other people, a whole group of people. And to tell me that we're not merited. Come on, man. Nah, that you couldn't even begin to see how can you even fathom yourself to be as an American? Because it seems that when you look at the political system, the United States Congress, it's been saturated as far as different people is in the United States Congress. It's not just white people. As how the term white man, all that good stuff, because that has been what has been holding people up to the white man, and then everything else becomes a minority or minor. But what I'm saying is that people are adopting, whether you come to this country by your will, as far as Asian, Hispanic, or whatever, or originally you are adopting the same sort of thinking points as the colonials that came here. The colonials, the same thing. Because right now, what's the problem right now? Reparations. There's not been anything to show for some sort of reparations or something to show for we're going to be getting payments, protections, and policies. Don't we deserve that? Haven't we fought in all the wars? Haven't we done all the above to just show you that look, we all in this together? Haven't we done it? There's an article about there's a young man who was in the Air Force. He got out of the Air Force because he just got tired of the racism in it. And he was his family was of the Tuskegee Airmen. He just got tired of the pressure that it had for him. But then you have people like former President Barack Obama make statements about you got to work harder. Work harder for what? How much more working harder do we have to do? Because we're getting tired of that. We're past tired of working hard. For what? Haven't we already done that? Council culture. At the same time, you have now. Let me bring this up. You got so-called doctors named Dr. Samuel Cartwright. I think y'all have seen this before. A lot of the family have seen this before. Come up with this thing called drapetomania. You can look this up. Drapetomania says it's been a syndrome, a runaway slave syndrome. He felt that we were already inferior. He was pro-slavery. He saw that we had a disease of wanting to be free from the slavery that was going on. So when he saw that we were runaway as far as slaves, the solution, the cure for it was for us to be tackled or to be whipped or to have our toes cut. Toes cut. That's how you think. Cutting toes. Human. Council culture. That is beyond the range in thinking. I don't know where people have this thought pattern to just come up with you want to cut somebody's toes. That's in somebody's lineage right now. Copyright. They're not probably married to it or something. And it's not about saying just calling you out as far as that last name, because you know what? You should look at this right here as being that you are to be a recycle, which you are recycled, to be a betterment from what was. Your children are supposed to be a better have or a better part of the lineage to become better, to be that one to make the lineage better, not go backwards and to be thinking the things that's not going to make things worthwhile for all people to be amongst. That's the problems that we are having right
I just
now.
wanted to say something just in between here. LaFear, sorry to interrupt you. You said you made reference to the preamble to the Constitution, and I don't know. I hope everybody can see the screen share that I've been trying to put up. But it's talking about the preamble to the Constitution, but it's also giving you explanation about the words, because words matter. And so when we're talking about cancel culture, cancel culture is all about words, right? It's not about body language. It's not symbols or signs. Is directly speaking about words. So I want to go to the second paragraph. The word preamble, while accurate, does not quite capture the full importance of this provision. Preamble, which is put in quotes, might be taken, we think, wrongly to imply that these words are merely an opening, rhetorical flourish, or frill without meaningful effect. So I just want people to just pay attention to that first sentence. And then go back and read the preamble of the United States Constitution. And we can get into a further conversation about that. I think that was a pretty deep concept that you brought up. I'm gonna unmute Keith and anybody else. I see John Harris. We see Anthony Wright. Thank you all for joining. Cedric, thank you for joining. If any of you want to join into this conversation, please do raise your hand and we will acknowledge you. Thank you.
Hey Tim, I'm gonna say one more thing. And we're gonna chop it up about some more stuff. And like I say, I'm big on words. We have in our English language the word bastard. The word bastard means illegitimate child. Illegitimate child. But we don't know that there's a root of the word bastard because we didn't want to go back that far. We didn't even think it was important. Or we probably just didn't know. The word bastard goes back to the word that was in ancient Egypt of a lady, a notable lady called Bast. And you know what her responsibility was? Protecting children. Somebody knew something because you want to change what was the bast or bastard, bast, and then it became bastard in English. Illegitimate child. Do you see how very important it is to really divest and to really understand with critical thinking so that you know where you're going? Because we have said this many times before in our chats, y'all. Busy don't make no sense. You want to get repaired? Let's get repaired. Understand how you got the word busy is lettered with B-U-S-I, B-U-S-Y. But why are you lettering there B-U-S-Y when you're saying busy? You see how that slips up and you can't even go to an English scholar about that because they don't know. Spell. We have been in a spell code called English language and also the American culture of the United States of America. And anybody coming to this country don't understand that yet because they don't understand it like how we have to understand it because we've been here. We've been seeing the BS going on. Too much BS. It's too much to even think of. For real, man. It just don't make any sense anymore. Come on,
Yeah,
sense,
and
common sense. Go ahead, bro.
yeah, and as far as what I want to talk about, I want to more so talk about the strategic side of cancel culture, how like just canceling people when we're on the road for reparations is counterproductive. You know, you got to have and I can't wait for the third part where we start talking about who should be um canceled, because at the moment it's like when we're working with each other, like I think of it as business, right? This is just business for me. Listen, we have something that needs to get done. It's just business, nothing personal. If you got something between me, we can work it out. But when it comes to doing what we need to do to get the reparation thing popping, like that's all we talking about. We're not talking about who said who to what, or why is how come or why come. No, we don't need to get none of that stuff. Where do we agree on? And what we agree on, we can talk about. What we don't agree on, that's a side issue. Like us in the ADOS, I'm sorry, Queen C ADOS, we disagree on a lot of things. You know, like I'm pro-vax. You know, I believe we should all get the vaccine. You know, other people in Queen C ADOS are more skeptical of, like, hey, I don't know about this stuff, but we've had plenty of conversations about it, but we're not canceling each other over it. Like I haven't been canceled because I want to take the vaccine. I never get, I like, we just, okay, you know what? We get into heated conversations, but we still respect each other's opinions. Like, you know what? That's you, but let's get back on this reparations tip, right? At the end of the day, that's what we all get back to. When I see what a lot of times, just in the black community in general, not even just, ADOS, just this black community in general, somebody does one, like you agree 99% of the time, that 1%, not all of a sudden you cancel. Like, but we agree 99% of the time. So that 1% should be irrelevant, you know? So you're never going to agree 100% of the time. And a lot of times people are who are prone to canceling and blocking people, a lot of times they'll say that, oh well, we don't have to agree. Like they'll say that, but then we disagree, they block you, or they'll just like, further distance themselves from you. But that doesn't make any sense. Listen, like, I think let's see. Now, prime example is like back in, like, the civil rights movement, where the CIA and the FBI were basically trying to find ways to break up black um freedom fighters, right? Especially with COINTELPRO, send letters to different people to make it seem like someone said something that they didn't say, or man, there's so much stuff that went on that was very I can put like it just a lot. And I think if people were just more, even though at the time, they basically drove these people crazy. Like a lot of people think that, oh well, if they had just, I don't know, like been more understanding, more caring. Like no, like CIA and the FBI, they drove these people crazy. Like you would think, like you. So there's a difference between what we're going through now and what they went through back then. Today we have nowhere near the amount of pressure on us as they did back in the day. Back in the day, like they could literally die. They could literally be assassinated. Today, not well, saying aside from the original members of the Black Lives Matter, like those guys, yeah, they definitely got assassinated. Like you can look over there in St. Louis with I can't remember the guy's name, but man, like the original people there, they definitely got assassinated. But outside of that, a lot of stuff that we do online, it's not big enough of a threat to cause an assassination attempt. So us going through what we're doing right now, just like a very early, for an early stages of a reparations fight, there's no reason for us to be canceling each other. Like we haven't gone through anything yet. Like the people in the civil rights movement, they went through way so much more. And they had all kinds of type of factions as well. Yeah, of course you had the was it Martin Luther King, you had Malcolm X, and then Nation of Islam. They broke up. So that's another whole thing about cancel culture, but that kind of goes along with who should be canceled, who shouldn't. And again, like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, they disagree a lot. Like a lot of things that they disagree with. Like Malcolm X has had some choice words about MLK, but they still uh were willing to work with each other. They're like, listen, where can we work together? And this is where we work. And they found ways to work together. You
Because
know,
at the
so
end of the day, isn't that what we need to do? We don't all, I think when it comes down to ADOS, and I don't want to interrupt, but I wanted us to have some type of dialogue. Um, and so at the end of the day, um, when we're talking about cancel culture and when we're talking about ADOS specifically, American Descendants of Slavery, um, we're talking about the fact that we're looking at a whole group of people. Everybody is not going to agree. Everybody doesn't have to agree. However, I find when it comes to ADOS, we have this ideology or this thought process that we need to form some type of Black utopia. This is where I have a problem, even though I love the way that LaFleur brings us back to Kemet. We have to understand Kemet is an old dynasty. It was overtaken, it was overthrown. And so, what does that mean? That means that everybody did not agree. We don't all have, and it wasn't utopia. We don't have to all agree on everything. The one
right.
thing that in the system of racism, white supremacy, that racist white supremacists and their sympathizers and empathizers agree on is the system of racism, white supremacy must
Yeah.
prevail. They will disagree on everything: pro choice, pro life, Republican, Democratic. They're going to disagree. Some are for solar energy, some are for coal. Um, you have all these differing ideologies and thought processes within the system of racism, white supremacists by white supremacists and their
Mm.
sympathizers. They don't all agree on every issue, but what's the one issue that they stand on?
White
White
supremacy
supremacy must prevail. The system of racism, white supremacy must prevail. What we
at
are
all
saying
costs.
as ADOS in Queen City ADOS, to be specific, is that we are against the system of racism and white supremacy. We are against everything that it upholds, and we are against everyone and anyone who would try to impose this unjust system upon us. And Keith, you have the floor again.
Mm.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany, for adding more insight to it. Because another thing I wanted to add was when it comes to the LGBT community, that's the a lot of and it also goes back to religion. A lot of people, they have different religious beliefs, and they put their religious beliefs so far ahead of everything else that uh, they don't even realize that they're hurting their own cause. Like, okay, listen, like, okay, so what? They may have a different ideology in terms of romantic or sexual um, um, like freedom. You may believe whatever was in a certain book. That's fine. But do you agree on liberating Black people? That's all that really matters. If you can put all that stuff aside, just get together with someone who may look different or like have like a different sexual orientation than you, and get together and just focus on that one thing. Like that's all that really matters. And I think another problematic thing is like a lot of people, they at least in terms of the LGBT community, I was going to add, a lot of people question their loyalty, forgetting that was it Bernard Rustin was he was the gay man, and he was like a lot, actually no, a lot of gay people have put in so much work in terms of the civil rights movement back in the day again, because again, Bernard Russell was part of MLK. He wrote a lot of stuff. He organized a lot of people together, and my question would be, how dare you question his allegiance to Black people? You also have, yeah, Yvette Carnell. A lot of people, say she's lesbian. I don't know. She hasn't come out and said whatever her sexual orientation is. But if she is gay or lesbian, like she's never put that in before Black people. Matter of fact, she did a whole entire show telling like gay people or queer community, LGBT community, about why um uh we should put black your blackness first, and how all the other stuff about your sexuality is not going to get you reparations, it's not going to get you anywhere we need to focus on being black. Like she did that, and she doesn't get enough credit for it. So I want to make sure she gets credit for putting her blackness for her sexuality, whatever it is. And now I think that we need to start giving our black LGBT and queer community more credit for what they've done. They've done a lot. If you really go into history, so many people. Again, I said Bernard Rustin was I'm bad with names. I can't remember people's names. You just had one of them up. Help me out, people. Anyway, but you just go through the history books. There's plenty of them. And a lot of them people didn't even know were gay until they came out. Some of
I
them, but
agree. And
yeah,
I think what Angela Davis or
yeah, and
Toni Morrison, we have
yeah,
like so many people that are part of the
hmm
LGBTQIA community that are for ADOS rights and liberation
hmm
of ADOS. I
yeah,
mean,
and they put that
and,
first. You
and they
know.
put that first. And that's the thing. And so when we're getting back to the conversation on cancel culture, in that way, Keith, I like the fact that you brought that up because I do feel that the LGBTQIA community has the Black ADOS people who are a
hmm
part of that community, who have the intersectionality, have in fact canceled ADOS who are heterosexual.
hmm
And I feel like it goes vice versa.
Right.
And we're
Yeah.
caught up on, oh, this is what we think the dominant society, we already know what the dominant society is trying to do to us, period.
hmm
Whether you are gay, transgender, heterosexual, or whatever, it doesn't matter. If you are a Black person, if you are a native Black person, then you are a target
Right.
for their violence. You are a target for their oppression. Within that group of the LGBTQIA community, you still have what? White supremacist males.
hmm How they're
And
more racist
so,
than
and
the
they
straight people.
uphold, and even on that front, this is the thing. This is why James Baldwin was so
There you go, James Baldwin.
prolific
That's the
in
one I'm looking for.
everything that he said. We all know that he was a
hmm
homosexual man, but at the end of the day, he was speaking up constantly, not for gay rights, but for
hmm
Black rights. He put
Exactly.
his culture and his racial identity first. Why? Because that is what he was being persecuted on.
hmm
That's the reason why he saw the strange fruit hanging from the tree. That's the reason why Emmett Till was murdered. It wasn't because of his sexuality, which wasn't determined at that time. I mean, it could be, but I mean, whatever. He was a Black little boy who whistled at or allegedly whistled at this white woman, and they
He was
took
still
offense
alive.
to that. And she's still living
hmm
in peace, in comfort. Yet here
Ain't seen
we
a day
are
in prison.
as the ADOS community collective, which includes LGBTQIA. We should all be outraged about Tamir Rice.
hmm
We should all be outraged about the 9 people in Charleston that were gunned down in a church, regardless to whether or not we hold religious beliefs. These are things that are being done to us because what? Not our sexual orientation, not our economic status, not our social status or celebrity status. It is directly related to us being labeled and categorized as Black. And I'm going to unmute LaFear so he can jump in.
Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
good. I wanted just to ask what y'all was saying because like you look at a salad bar. How many people go to a salad bar and say, "I just want to eat lettuce"? No, you go and say, "I want to eat some black olives. I want to eat the raisins. I want to eat the croutons. I want to eat the cranberries. I want to eat the turkey meat or the chicken or even the ham, cheese, tomatoes, cucumbers. You want to saturate and be have that as your salad bar, but you're not going to take away from what something is on that salad bar and say, "Well, I just don't want that." Why? I mean, if that's not what you want, fine. But at least give it its peace for somebody else. That's why we have to come to that agreement with all the LGBT community. Look, there is we have had in our DNA butt breaking, raping, separating the family, take them off somewhere, and just all that at the same time. You know that's in our DNA. You have to accept that. You have to know that. So you should not, of course, cancel somebody out. And then at the same time, we have to be on one accord when we fight for this. And it's sad that we have to admit these things. We got to admit that look, we are in this same struggle. We have to fight strategically, critically thinking. All that stuff has to be put on the back burner, and we got to go forward with what we know is up ahead of us. So, um, council culture. I mean, we and there's been a lot of splintering going off in our community, but it's just the same fit. We are still fighting the same thing. MLK and Malcolm X were two different factions of people, but they did not let themselves be bigger than the movement. And they wasn't bigger than the movement. There are a long list of us that goes so far back. Look at Arnie Judge. One Arnie Judge. She was trying to be free. She freed herself. She escaped. Freemen. We are all entangled into our struggle as far as who we are. We've been denied. We built this country by lies, blood, sweat, and tears. That's LBST. Everybody has experienced lies, blood, sweat, and tears, and just being a human being. You think about that. You think about, just let that sink in for a little bit. All because we're human. All because of That's why I don't go along with all these different terms of brown and yellow. I mean, look, what does all that mean? Because we're all of the same lineage of what has happened to us. Everybody has experienced all the same things, all the above. We are the most unimaginable, the most unimaginative. We are the most undisputed, the most unbelievable people in this country and pretty much the whole world. We built wealth for the entire world, whether you know that or not, through cotton. We have been the most downtrodden, but never forgotten kings and queens of cotton. That's what we were doing, y'all. I mean, and we have done that in so many different ways or angles as far as look at our music. Look at how it's like in counseling, trying to counsel us as far as our music. You wanted to have Little Richard to sing these songs, but then you want to counsel him out so that you can put up some type of white group or something. All that was going on at the same time. Back then, you have Elvis Presley copycatting off of people he saw in clubs, like Big Mama Thornton. I can go on as a list of things. Look at the acting now. A lot of the actors.
Hey, LaFair, let's get some other people on. I think Cedric
Okay, yeah,
wanted
go ahead.
speak.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Because I was
All
about
right,
to
that's fine. Oh yeah, he's about to go in. I was like, oh.
go ahead.
All
Yeah.
right,
Who
so
else?
you there?
Cedric, if you're there, I've given you permission to unmute. So
Oh, okay. Hey,
There you
thank
go.
you. Yeah, LaFleur invited me to the meeting, and I appreciate that, brother.
Mhm.
We're friends on Facebook. This is Cedric, and I just wanted.
You're unmuted. Okay. You unmute. Okay.
Oh, hey, LaFleur.
Yeah. Hey. Hey. Just sec.
Hey, man, you invite. We're friends on Facebook, and
Right.
right, and so I just wanted to come in, chime in, and be a voice of support with y'all and what y'all doing in the Queen City. And I mean, I don't want to be long winded on the mic. I can be very long winded once I get on
Mhm.
the mic, but it, however you would like me to add, I'll just say that we're doing a lot of things on Clubhouse lately here. We're reading Darity's book for the third time, so that's very refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we're passing out the book to people and to the aldermen in Chicago. You know, if you haven't heard lately about the reparations situation in the city of Chicago, not the Evanston, Illinois
Okay.
situation, but the city
Mhm.
of Chicago, where they wanted to try to run a test program for UBI, Universal Basic Income, and the
Mhm.
aldermen, which is the equivalent to the city council and all the other cities in the country, because Chicago is the only big city that has aldermen instead of councilmen, like you know in Cleveland and Cincinnati and Columbus and Detroit and so forth.
Right.
But came out and said was that no, you're not going to run a universal basic income program. You're going to talk about reparations for descendants of slavery. If you're going to talk about giving away any money, we have to be
Mhm.
addressed first. So I
That's right.
thought that was very refreshing. And so we did get book. We started to take up a collection and got books. From Here to Equality: Reparations for Black Americans in the 21st Century by Dr. Darity. And so we have begun to get that book into those aldermen's hands, and so that we can continue to fight for reparations. I know you all were talking about cancel culture. I didn't quite get in the beginning when you were speaking of cancel culture, but I think you all are referring to the situation with Tamika Mallory and that whole thing with Tamir Rice's mother. You know, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and you know, I spoke out for Tamir Rice. I met his family. It was a very sad situation here. You know, I've joined hands with my brothers and sisters and throughout Ohio. You know, that's why I'm here, because I'm part of the Ohio ADOS. You know, I mean, when I
Hmm.
say I'm not belonging to any particular ADOS chapter right now, because we never were able to get our
Mhm.
situation off the ground because of things that took place that I don't want to get too deep off
Right.
into. I did go to the
Yeah.
conference
But
in
that's another thing of cancel culture. You know, you try to get something together, people can't work together, and
Exactly.
it
Hmm.
messes everything up. We only
It
got three
messes
people. We just
everything
holding
up.
it down by ourselves.
And we're so quick to cancel each other because, just like Marcus Garvey said, America has black a crime. And so we as ADOS have bought into black being a crime in America. And so even when we do wrong each other, and there are times when we do wrong each other, um we uh we are quick to cancel. We don't give each other a way back in. I always frequently use Robert Downey Jr. as an example. I
Yeah.
remember when I was born in 76. So Robert Downey Jr., when he was in his younger years, I was an adolescent. And I distinctly remember him being in and out of court for drug
Hmm.
offenses all the
Right.
time. I recall him being quote unquote a loser or a social pariah. And now white supremacy has accepted him
Right.
and re-assimilated him into their culture. And he hasn't just been reassembled into the culture just as an everyday person. He's Iron Man.
Hmm.
He's a
Yeah.
He's
cultural
an
icon.
American hero.
Hmm.
Okay, he is
Got
a
to play a black man and got away with it.
superhero. And so, where are our supers who get to come back?
Hmm.
We've had a conversation about William O'Neill and his part that he played in bringing down in the murder of Fred Hampton
Hmm.
and other black members of the party, and bringing the party down. At the same time, we have to understand how American culture and the CIA and the FBI in particular canceled us. And so him being a canceled person and being a member of our group, William O'Neill, although I personally think of him being a traitor, he was a 17-year-old boy once
Hmm.
when he was approached by the FBI without his parents. So even his parental guidance was canceled. And so
Rights were canceled.
Yeah.
we do have to be honest about this, and we have to establish even within ADOS And I know you said, Cedric, you don't want to go into all the details of your group. And I understand that. Me personally, I don't really have a problem with saying that Queen City ADOS has been locked out of ADOS HQ by Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore. Although we still support them through listening, I have been donating to Yvette Carnell since 2018. My little $2 a month for her newsletter. So you could calculate up those dollars. It's 2021 and I just canceled her. Okay. As far as that is concerned, but I'm not canceling the message. And so that is the portion that I think we need to get clarity on, because it is okay for us to disagree. We can agree to disagree, and we don't have to agree on everything. The one only square that we have to stand on is that we are for the liberation of ADOS, and we are for the elimination and complete and total elimination of the system of racism, white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
That's right. And
Yeah, this
I
is
just want to
love.
add, what is it? I just lost my train of thought. That's what I was gonna get to. Uh, yeah. But one thing about cancel culture is um, like it's like I really can't wait till we get to the other stuff, because again, like next month, what is it? Be 6th, I think. No, not the 6th. No, it'll be the first. It'll be first Sunday of next month, which is April, May, uh, May. Yeah, May. I think the 2nd, and that will be on. Are we canceling white supremacy? I can't wait to get to that one. It's like just talking about the different, and we're gonna have some other panelists as well. I just gotta get them confirmed, but they're like more like professionals. You know, they're like people in psychological field, stuff like that. And just like talking about like, hey, like basically like post-traumatic slave syndrome, and like again, like are we canceling white? Because like a lot of black people and really just non-white people in general, because you can look over in China, they're like worshiping white people's gods. Like, you know, like
Mm,
are we like canceling white supremacy? Are we saying, you know, we are against the system of white supremacy? That's one thing I can't wait till we get into. And also again, like get into the third episode, we get into like the criteria, like okay, like who shouldn't be canceled, because like there's a lot of people who like, okay, they did one thing, okay, like, you know, why are we still mad at this person? Like it was like what 10, 20 years ago, someone like 5 minutes ago, like okay, you're not over there yet. And I think the most important thing is to remember that we are adults, right? A lot of behavior is like this is childish, this is children's stuff, okay. Okay, one person said one thing about one. Okay, but why does the entire crew have to get into it? All right, like you're your own personal person. You're your own person. If one person has an issue with you, why are you bringing multiple people into the mess that's between you and someone else? Leave that between just y'all. That when y'all can figure that out, and everybody else can just keep going about their business, doing whatever they need to do. Like, why are you pressuring other people into your business? That's between y'all. You know, I'm not saying anything in particular. It just happens just in general. So I don't need to have you know people who are trying to bring you into their own mess. I'm like, hey, I'm hands off. That's between y'all. I don't know what y'all want me to do.
you know
That's
what? And you know what, Keith? It's like I look at we should make it very. We should look at the word difficult a little differently now. About we should make it difficult to assimilate any more of racism, white supremacy. You have to look at Malcolm X again and Martin Luther King again and see that they were pioneers during their time, taken out by the same people, same faction of a group in this country. They did not make the movement bigger than them. They said, look, we have to get a solution going on. We have to find our aggregate. And the aggregate was still, look, you're still not being done right as a human.
mhm,
That's all it is, a human being. We have treated everybody in this country as humans, human, thinking man, God man, spiritual man, the same thing. My point is, everybody that comes to this country has access in their will. Do you understand? We were the only group of people that did not get that. All because of somebody wanted to look at us as being other than. How can you have that as a question mark when we was the one that was suckling, having babies to suckle on our mothers, cousins, or our women of our lineage, all at the same time? We did it. We did it with just unconditional to make sure that that baby gets some sort of nourishment. We didn't care about what color the skin it was. You see, that's how we know we're a special people, but we have to get on the fight. And I'm gonna tell you something. We want to see how American people really are. Because if you're going to be as American as you should be, to start to know that, look, there is a dilemma in this country. We have to change that. It's going to have to come. It's going to have to come not later. It's going to have to come now. And it's going to get. I'm just going to say some words. It's going to get crazy if you keep on thinking you're just going to keep people in a certain manner of existence. We are the phone book. If y'all know what the phone book is, old school phone book, when you put that phone book on the front porch, it ain't going anywhere. When you put a little piece of paper, it's just gonna fly in the wind. We were that support base. We stood there. They're not letting nobody get a handle of us.
And let me just interject there. When you talk about we are the phone book, if anybody has ever looked in the phone book, I know the phone book is not a popular document.
Yeah.
But back in the day, like when my grandfather, who was an entrepreneur, he was an electrician in the state of Indiana. At Indianapolis, in particular, he was licensed in I believe like at least 2 states, Indianapolis and then Kentucky. But nevertheless, his name began with an A. It was very important for you to be at the top. If you're in the phone book, you want to be the first person, the first business that they are able to see. When I met my husband in 1994-5, we came into the understanding that both of our grandfathers were electricians. His was in Oakland and mine was in Indianapolis. Yet both of them named their companies almost is the same exact name, having never met each other.
Wow.
My grandfather's name for his company was A. Buckner Electric. He used his name, Adolf Buckner, A. Buckner Electric. My husband's grandfather, whose name was Gerver, he named his company A1. Why? To put you at the top. So when you saying that we are the phone book, okay, you got to understand what LaFair that was a gem. We at the top. Everybody is benefiting from Black other than Black. Everybody, when you hear J-Lo talking about she just a Black girl from the Bronx, J-Lo invented big booties. I mean, what about Hottentot Venus, whose literal labia has been on display in a museum in Europe since her death. Now we talk like let us keep it real. You know, we're not at the bottom, and this is what frustrates me a lot about ADOS here in America, who refuse to put the America first, because we've always put the A first. The A has always been a part of us. It is us. True, we got our start somewhere else. Some of us, not all of us, some of us got our start in another land, on another continent called Africa. None of us are able to, well, I wouldn't say none of us, but not many of us are able to actually trace your lineage back to actually find that African ancestor. I am one of those people, but I found so many Native Black people in my family who was here since the early 1800s. We are Americans. We deserve a right. We deserve our rights as Americans in this country. We deserve to be treated, as LaFair has pointed out so many times, human. We are humans being. We are a human being, not a human doing. Now we are transforming from the humans doing. And that is what America is having a hard time with, releasing us from that categorization of being the humans doing all the work, inventing the ironing board, inventing the light bulb,
That's right.
inventing the light signal that is still used today, inventing heart surgery.
That's right.
We have invented so much. Why? Because we needed it. We
Mhm.
That's right.
needed that information. We were the ones. When I go back and I trace my lineage, as Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore have encouraged us all to do, when I trace my lineage and I'm looking at those death certificates in particular, one thing that is in common, and I don't know if you ADOS, we all got the same thing. This is why you think it's genetic, because it's been happening for generations, but it's really not genetic. It's really just your place in society. Lots of my family members died of what? Congestive heart failure.
Right.
Lots of your family members died of what? Congestive heart failure. Why?
Mhm.
Because of the types of foods that you were forced to eat. Now, you look at where we are today. Our situation with food hasn't changed, yet you have people like Kevin Samuels on their podcast talking about Black women for being overweight without actually talking about the actual problem.
That's right.
Why is the Black woman overweight? It's not solely because she's not trying to work out. It's because of the type of food that she has access to. Now,
Yeah,
are
and
there
we can
things
bring
that
that
we
to like. I was
are
gonna
there
say we
things
can bring all that into like pro-black conservatism, which I don't think we can do it.
exactly? I mean, we have to look, if we're gonna address the issues, I feel like the issues have to be addressed in a very real way, and not in a way where we're damning each other or
Right.
Mhm,
canceling each other out.
Right.
And I just wanted to say that
mhm.
I've given Cedric the opportunity to unmute himself. Um, and then after this, we're gonna close it up. We want to thank everybody for joining in. Cedric, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah. Anyone else want to speak? You can raise your hand as
Yeah,
well.
raise
Speak
your
if you want.
hand and unmute, and I'll give you a chance. Thank you all.
Anybody else want to talk? Anybody can be spot on. Just
I'm
close
not
out.
sure what's going on with Cedric, but we
Oh,
have reached our time. Okay,
Okay,
Cedric, he's coming on. There he is.
if I was just wondering because every time I come off the mic, I get I can't turn it back on, or if I wanted to chime in. So I was wondering that you have it locked where I will only, because a lot of times I want to chime in and say something or accentuate a comment that's being made, but I can't because my mic is locked down. So
Yeah, and so we do that because we always have detractors that come into our meeting and try to disrupt us. I don't know if you was on earlier, but I had everybody muted and then it just went haywire. They were drawing stuff and everything. So please do work. We thank you for working with us on this. And what we typically do is I will press a button and say for me to ask you to unmute, and then you just have to pay attention to your name of when I'm asking you to unmute. But I thank you for your patience.
yeah, so I just wanted to chime in. I know, so you all are getting ready to end the meeting, or
Yes, sir. After you speak, and then if anybody else has any comments or questions, they're willing, we're willing to hear it and we're ready.
oh,
okay.
I got something. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead,
just
Sam.
I just wanted to just chime in and just be a voice of support. I will be attending the meetings now that I feel like I can feel comfortable in discussing those things that are germane and very important to ADOS. So I appreciate all the work that you all are doing, and maybe once we get a chance to really have a discussion, I don't, I mean, I'm saying we having the discussion now, but I just wanted to ask you all a couple of questions. I'm not affiliated with that ADOS HQ, and other people have went on and formed their own organizations, you know, uh, formed different names and so forth, aside from being part of ADOS, uh, an ADOS HQ or whatever. They're transformative. There's a lot of transformation that's taking place. I just wanted to, and I'm pretty sure you all know this.
Right.
So there's things that's come, and I wanted I would like to come here because the way I circulate is that if it's any information that we need to know as far as our lineage, and we're still calling ourselves ADOS, and a lot of us will always refer to ourselves as ADOS because that's what we're being on for the for the last 4 years or 4.5 years. And I will say to you, Tiffany, I was donating to that too. For now, you add up mines. I've been donating to that too for the last 3 years, and I just stopped mines too, like a month ago. So I was right with you as far as my $2 of money for the last 3 years. I got receipts. I can show you.
Mhm.
Just not that it means anything, but I
No,
was
it
right.
means something. Your $2 means something because you could
That's
have been spending that $2 somewhere else. And so the fact that you and I put it to Yvette Cornell's cause, and because she doesn't agree with us, like she disagrees with us because we had Darity on our show, and so that's why we were canceled. And that's fine. But at the same time, I would say that even though I did have strong comments for her when she criticized Dr. Frances Cress Welsing after she passed away, and Dr. Maya Angelou again after she passed away. That did not stop me from supporting Yvette's cause, because it's the cause. It's not Yvette that I believe in, it's the cause. See, we don't have the Messiah worship. And so when she was saying that in the beginning, she had my full attention when she was talking about it's no Messiah worship. I'm all about that. I'm all about that because I believe we all are
Right.
gods, just like the Bible
There you
says.
go. That's right.
Yeah. I think it's important to note that we didn't start the show because of anything, because of Yvette canceling something like that. We had this in the plan like before that. It was even, I
Yeah.
think we even had before the issue with the Darity. We always
Yes,
had it
we did.
planned. It just what happened to
And we
correlate and
wanted
just happen
clarity.
like
We
that.
wanted clarity
Yeah, we
about
just
issues.
ended up getting canceled right before we had our
Yeah.
cancel culture show. And so,
Yeah.
again, I don't have a problem with saying anything because we're not slandering them. We're just saying
Yeah.
this is a part of this is a portion of the culture that maybe we all need to like evaluate, because it's definitely true. Some
Hmm.
people do need to be canceled.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like,
I agree
yeah.
that it needs to be canceled, and there's some slick moves and some
Hmm.
curved moves that she made that was inappropriate, and we all know a lot were. I'm not taking anything away from the work that like you said, we were on the message. We were not on the code of
Yeah.
personality. Yeah. So I'm with that, but it's no but to it. It's just like I understand. I'm fully in agreement. All I really wanted to say was like I did the same thing that Tiffany said she did. I was giving up my money, for the cause, and I thought we was on the right path and so forth. But I just feel you know I think we're
Hmm.
on the right track now. Like I said, Chicago is creating something where a lot of us can come up under a different umbrella, if you will, with a whole
Yeah.
different name, with a whole different, individual sovereignty and individual paths that, you can still be Queen City, whoever you are. It's not like you are, beholden to some organization that if you don't follow and toe the line, and we don't do exactly what we say we're not a part. So I think some things is coming up. We're gonna see. Only thing I want to say to you all is that when SNCC and CORE and some other organizations broke up, you know what came out of that? Like the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SNCC, and Core SNCC, and the
Right.
Council of Racial Equality. You know what came out of that when they broke up and decided to break their coalition? The Black Panther Party. So it's
Yes.
some good things on the horizon for us. So I don't think, you know, it was for a reason. You know, I got a lot out of that situation. Um, you know, so I just wanted to just be a, you know, a brother to you all and be here to support you all. And I will be back when y'all have the next meeting.
We
Just be
All
appreciate
right.
you. We
Good.
appreciate you, Cedric. Thank you for joining us.
Mhm.
John Harris has the floor now. And this will be our last comment.
I'd like to thank everyone. Like you guys said, it was a lot of money dished out over to the Yvette and Tone. And I go to check, you know, for Yvette and stuff like that, and I'm finding myself blocked on a lot of stuff. Right now, I've been going through my own little situations and stuff. I just lost my sister. A lot of family members are passing away, and I haven't been involved in doing everything because I've been taking on of that. So, you know, just trying to understand what's going on, you know. And I talked to Chad. Me and Chad talked over the phone and everything like that. And I'm just trying to understand it, and I ain't understanding none of this, you know. So if y'all can help me with that, I appreciate that.
Well, brother, what part do you need for us to explain? What part are you not
No,
necessarily understanding?
just how, you know. I mean, I understand as far as like how everybody like, well, okay, just the vet part. Okay, you kind of said something with Darity,
Yes.
and all right, well, I don't.
Our previous show, the show
Yeah.
before this one, what we actually had Darity on the show, and you can go
Yeah.
to our YouTube page, and we had him specifically talking about his book, not talking about whatever controversy he has going on between him, Yvette, and Tone, because again,
Yeah.
that's their fight. We see it, and we're not
Mhm.
picking a side. The side that the square that we've all decided to stand on is that we're for reparations. And we
Exactly.
see both sides of these people who have taken the courage, because it takes courage. Because once you start talking about reparations, this is something that I've said in our group many times. Once you start talking about reparations, you have to understand that that is a revolutionary act in and of itself. You don't have to actually do anything else in order to be recognized as a revolutionary other than just talking about reparations for ADOS. That makes you a revolutionary. We decided to start this show in order to be, you know, like what Yvette was saying, like she lit the fire. She
Yeah.
lit the fire up under us, and we was like, okay, listen, me, LaFair, Keith, we had never met each other.
Yeah.
It's only been recently, we've been talking for almost a year, but over Facebook and in our chat, but we had actually never physically like met each other until like about a month ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, I think we did meet before with the previous NCADOS group when that was popping, but you know.
Well, I
Yeah.
wasn't in that,
But
I wasn't in that group, and so I had not met you
I
all
thought you did.
until
Okay.
I hadn't met you all until, you know, recently, but I mean, actually physically laying eyes on you and being in a sharing space. Like we did a community service event at
Right.
Little
Right.
Rock Zion, AME Zion Church, where we gave out PPE and information to the people about ADOS and about reparations and at the church. And so that was our first time actually sharing actual physical space with each other. And so we're not against Yvette. You know what I'm saying? And again, this show was not it was put together before us being canceled, but it was because we came up with the concept of this show based off of what we have been seeing. You
Yeah.
know, you
Yeah.
see
Just in
Stacey
general.
Dash, she canceled us. she said, cancel Black History Month. And
Yeah.
now that she's been canceled by her white abusive husband and his white
And her
abusive
family.
children,
Right.
now she wants to come back to ADOS and say, hey, well, I'm sorry I said all that. Well, is she somebody that we should cancel? And then we have right after that, following that, you hear Tamir Rice mother, Samaria Rice, and she's talking about Benjamin Crump and Tamika Mallory being ambulance chasers. Her words, not mine. Now, I'm not saying that she ain't right, and I'm not saying that she wrong in that, or that I haven't assessed that for myself, but to hear the victim say that this is her point of view, because it's one thing for me to be looking on the outside, or for you, John, to be looking on the outside and looking at these incidents happening and being touched by these things and wanting to move and do something in spite of what we personally have going on. Like you said, you've had several losses in your family. You know what I mean? We don't know each other. I'm sorry for your loss. At the same time, what are we supposed to do? Are we going to cancel Samaria Rice?
Right.
Or are we going to cancel Tamika Mallory and Benjamin Crump, who absolutely never wins a case?
Oh, they win the case. They just don't get justice. They win the case. They get the money.
Well, I mean, it's no criminal, and I understand that
No.
he is a civil lawyer and he's not a criminal lawyer, but where is the criminal lawyer? Why is there only a dollar amount putting us back into, like what LaFear was talking about earlier, these slavery type code things where you were sold for a dollar amount? I mean, a young woman or a girl who was of childbearing age and who still had breast milk, 9 times out of 10, she's spending all day feeding her master's children. She don't even have, I don't even think men or women who have not actually had children understand what it takes, one, to bring a child physically into this world, and then to actually be responsible for feeding them. In order to feed the child, to breastfeed the child, you have to be eating. Which means that when you see these pictures of the Black woman with the white child sucking from her breast and she appears to be overweight or obese, understand how that made that Black woman feel. She had children of her own who was not able to suck from her breast. She was made to sit up in the house and let those white babies suck from her breast and eat that good food, knowing good and doggone well that her whole family was in that field starving, and they had been starving for days and weeks. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a type of guilt that the system of racism, white supremacy puts on us. So I'm going to encourage you, John, don't get frustrated to the point to where you want to drop out, because just know that we've all been there. At the same time, understand the reason why ADOS is so apt to canceling each other. It's because we bought into it.
Yeah.
So did.
Yep. I got you,
And,
sis.
and I just want to add one more thing for that I just gotta make sure we get clear that Benjamin Crump isn't a civil lawyer, he's a settlement lawyer. There's a difference.
Okay, settlement. Please forgive my the settlement. You've been getting the settlements for all the little Black people that's been getting murdered out here in these streets that get no justice. And what we saying is, and what Tamir Rice mama,
Civil Wars.
his mama want justice. That's what his mama said. She said she wants justice for her baby. Who am I to say, as a mother, as a Black mother, as a Black woman who is married to a Black man who has to leave outside the house and do things for our family so that we can survive? It's tormenting when my husband leaves the house, then I'm on the phone. Where you at? What you doing? When you come? Because that fear comes in, because he can be any one of y'all. I'm just one woman in this group. I wish it was other women in this group to be able to speak to, the fear that we have of sending, allowing y'all to go out, allowing our children to go to school. It's nerve-wracking. Cedric wanted to have something to say, and then we're gonna close it.
Okay, so what I wanted to ask was, what has been your relationship with Mark Stevens? Mark Stevens. Have
I
y'all
don't
had
think
a
I know him.
I don't even know who that
Yeah, I
is.
don't know.
okay? He's supposed to be the ADOS Columbus. Are you familiar with any ADOS information?
Yeah, I'm familiar with in Ohio. Yeah, I'm familiar with some of them.
Okay, so I just asked about if you all have had as much friction as we have had with Mark Stevens.
No,
Um,
I don't.
Yeah, I don't
okay,
even know what the situation is.
Yeah,
yeah, that's all. I needed to know that because well, that's why I hadn't mentioned anything about our chapter. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't uh talking with people that was affiliated with Columbus or that was affiliated to Mark Stevens, because this is the conversation I've never had with people in Ohio, but I'm glad I'm having this conversation with you now. And that was my only question. Y'all don't know him, and according to you, he don't know y'all. So that's my question. Thank
Yeah, we not caught up in all of the, that's the
Mhm.
reason why, probably one of the reasons why we got, X'd out of HQ, because we really not tapped in like that. We just out here
Yeah,
in McQueen City, and we're trying to tap in with each other and do the work here.
yeah.
yeah. Like
With the
we ignore a lot
politicians.
of stuff. Like
you.
anytime a person says that,
Well,
we ignore it. Like we just don't even try to deal with it
But
because
no,
it's
what
just
Mark
it's
was
nothing to
telling
do with us.
everybody, he was representing Ohio, that he was the ADOS for Ohio, and that's why I'm bringing that up. He was telling everybody
Mm.
that he was the chairman of the ADOS Ohio, and he had chapters in Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Columbus, and Dayton and Cincinnati. I mean, I just want to know if y'all knew anything about, because he's been out of HQ. They nixed him early on. But what I'm saying is that I just wanted to know, because he gave the bogus, which was all lies, that he was running the state of Ohio as far as ADOS is concerned. And I wanted to know if you all had that run in with him. And that's
I'll say this
that,
right here.
Mm.
I'll say this right here. We don't have. We still don't have. Whoever running the
Yeah.
state, look, we
Mm.
don't have, and I'm tired of seeing everybody a graph or statistic or some sort of thing of data shows we're always being lied on top of. Everybody is lying on top of us. Everybody's want to rest on us all the time. That's what I'm looking at. So hey, whoever want to start this and that and this and that, look, do it in respectful manner, dignified manner. Cause look, just as much as you got NAACP, you got AF, you got different like urban league. There's good to have different saturations of people that can help with your civility. So it shouldn't be just, if it's going to be something different, sort of, so to speak, fine. At least can you come together on a mission or something that needs to go down? That's all.
Right.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters, man. Whoever who's gonna do what, fine. Look, man, we need to get to these politicians, run for office, or do something, or get ourselves in a clout where we can at least see some sort of breathing room. That's the bottom
Like,
line.
Right.
yes, and like I like what Cedric said that they're doing
Yeah.
in his state of
Mhm.
getting Darity's book into the hands of their aldermen. That's something that we here at Queen City ADOS, that's not a push that we have done, but I do agree. I think that's something that we need to do. And after we have this in this conversation, that's something that we're going to talk about. As you know, we ADOS, so we ain't got a whole lot of money. We don't have a whole lot of capital. It's a quarantine. It's a COVID. People done been laid off. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, even giving $2 a month, sometimes that can be a stretch for ADOS. But for reparations, we gonna stand on that square and we gonna make that sacrifice, because like LaFair said, we have been the sacrifice. We are
Mhm.
the phone book. We are what's at the top. Everybody wants to be Black. Everybody is benefiting from Black. Everybody wants to be Black without all of the unnecessary baggage. They want to leave the baggage with us. And we're
Everybody want to be
saying
Black, but
now
nobody want to be Black.
that we don't want the baggage either. So either Black is gonna have to be redefined, or we all gonna have to be white. I mean, something gonna have to happen. Something has to give. We have to get reparations. Reparations has to be a part of the whole thing, because
And
it's not gonna work if it's not.
Can I clarify something? I
Yes.
just clarify. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I was assisting the people in Chicago to help them get the books to their aldermen. I'm from
That's
Ohio.
awesome.
Yeah, that's
That is
good.
awesome. And I mean, if you could help us, if you could assist us, and then if we can assist you in Cleveland, Ohio, because this is how it's going to happen, right, Cedric? This is what we're saying. Like, we can't cancel everybody. Cedric, we're going to come across some things and you probably be like, what the hell is Tiffany talking about? Or what is Keith talking about? Or what is LaFair? You know what I'm saying? You can go down the list, the line. At the end of the day, we're all standing on that square. Reparations. That's our box.
Down for reparations. I'm 10 toes down for reparations.
10
period.
toes down. Yes,
That's
brother.
right.
Yes, we all are.
Mhm.
So with that, we're gonna end it. It's 2:35. We appreciate y'all for joining us. Join us again next month, May 2nd. It's the first Sunday of each month. We have reparations talks. Cancel culture will be a 3-part series, and our next part is going to be, are we committed to canceling the system of racism, white supremacy? We appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Right.
All right. This is
Yep.